going to give a hot take on something here. I'm going to say that the No Kings protest is the very definition of white privilege. Why do I say that? Because white people have the privilege to protest on a Saturday outside of working hours every 3 months. You get up, eat your Wheaties, make a sign, you feel good, you do something for an hour and a half, and then you go back, you post it on Facebook, and you go, cool, we'll do this again in January. That is privilege. If you're black, if you're Latino, if you're Mexican, if you're Muslim, if you're Asian, if you're anything other than white, every day, people across this country are getting looked at differently, or getting shit on, their due process, they're getting racially profiled.
So are you accidentally stupid, or are you stupid on purpose? Because the only reason you would go to a No Kings protest in 2025 is if you were stupid enough to believe that America had kings, not realizing that your very participation in this event that is not being shut down by the one person who you claim is a king invalidates the entirety of your argument. See, this is all these people know how to do anymore. All y'all want to do is go out and be part of some protest, right? It doesn't accomplish anything? No, it never does. It makes you feel good for a few hours. Y'all rally around, oh, this is going to be the biggest uprising. What are you going to do? Nothing. You don't have any demands, because No Kings is already a thing, right? It's called Independence Day. We have one of those already. Oh, you don't celebrate that either, do you? Yep, that tracks. That sounds about right. So anybody who's going out there to be part of this No Kings protest, just know all you're really doing at the end of the day is playing yourself and showing your ignorance. So go ahead, be a part of this No Kings protest if you want to. It's a free country. You can do what you want, but don't be surprised if people are laughing at you for it.
Hello brothers and sisters, I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from. Now, some of the white folks are now furious with the fact that the black community is not showing up for No Kings Day in the US. Now, you must remember that the black community did warn about the disaster that was going to befall the the white community and the whole of the US if they didn't listen. Now, today we are having a country where many people are not pleased with whatever is happening, and they are now calling out the rest of the citizens in the US to come out and help them fight the same government. Are we going to see unity out of this, or are we going to see more divisions out of this? Let's watch this video, then have a really quick discussion and react to it later. Thank you.
My thoughts about the No Kings Parade has not changed since June, and I refuse to call it a protest. At best, I'm going to call it a march, because ultimately doing anything on a Saturday in a major city is not disruption or interruption. It's just optics. So let's do some simple math. Currently in multiple cities, the National Guard has been deployed. In addition to that, you have agencies like the DEA, the FBI, and Snow Cone harassing, arresting, detaining, and assaulting people in your community. These are not people to have been found to have committed any crime outside of just being othered and exist. We currently have Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act that is potentially going to be repealed, which would impact black voters first and then people of color more than any other demographic. 300,000 black women have lost their job. And with me actually being in DC, where the federal government is housed, more people have lost their jobs last week, so I'm sure that number has changed. They cut the entire Department of Education sector that focuses on children with disabilities and other learning abilities. Now, with that information alone, we're doing math here. How does all of the situations in which I just named, plus taking the time out on a Saturday to march throughout the street with poster boards and magic markers, with freshly printed out t-shirts where the money for that could have been used for mutual aid, chanting while nobody's in any offices to hear you, going to undo all the things that I just listed. If somebody can help me do that math, I'm a millennial, so maybe that's Common Core. I don't know anything about that, but that would be great.
This is my political rant for the day. So I'm pulling up to the gym and I see the No Kings protest happening again for the second time. And here are my thoughts on it. I slowed down to kind of read their signs. They're in rabbit costumes. They're, someone was holding an American flag, which shocked the hell out of me because, the left has decided that if you are patriotic and you love your country, that you are somehow a far right extremist. I don't even know where that came from. Somebody had an American flag, so that's promising. However, the signs were like, no dictator, protect the democracy. A couple notes on that. Donald Trump was elected president by the majority of the American people, right? So he won the popular vote, the House, the Senate, in every single swing state. So I could see if this protest was like prior to the election, but the election is done. It's done. Like, if you believe in the democratic process, you would just say, you know, I don't like Trump, but you know what? It is what it is, because that's what the people voted for. But you're protesting that while saying you want to protect the democracy. It's kind of crazy. And then also, if this were a dictatorship, if Donald Trump were a dictator, none of you would be allowed to protest. You do realize that dictators, you cannot protest a dictator. You would be unalived. Okay? So even the premise and the title, you are not allowed to do all this and protest your king, okay, in this manner also. If you had like a tyrannical king. So the hyperbole is kind of getting old, for me at least. Also, there were quite a few like Democratic candidates who were in the presidential race that I thought were promising. I can't remember this guy's name, but he was really sharp and smart, and I was like, he's going to be a breath of fresh air to the Democratic Party. The Democrats decided to perform a coup against Joe Biden and insert Kamala Harris, which is a real threat to the democratic process, and yet there were no protests. There were no one was upset. Largely, people on the left were just like, yay, we have Kamala, let's vote for her. I'm like, do you guys realize they just robbed you of your choice? They literally thwarted the entire democratic process. There should have been a protest for that, but there was crickets. So it's like the contradictions are what makes logical, rational people just look at it like, you guys don't have, there's no real leadership, there's no real message, it's just a bunch of emotions. And I'm glad like that the way I vote is very moderate. I'm a conservative, but I vote very moderately in the sense that my ballot, there's some D's, there's some R's across the board, because I'm looking at, okay, I think this person, this policy, this Democrat is really good on here on, you know, on environmental issues. I like the Democratic candidate for this. On fiscal policy, I like this Republican. That's how we're supposed to vote as American citizens. We're not supposed to have this like party loyalty, because it's we the people, and then we elect the people that we think are going to get the job done and have a track record of doing the job. This whole voting D, voting all R is how we got in this situation in the first place. And, you know, the Democratic Party is losing voters en masse. They lost 3 million voters this year alone. Okay. And it's not just like losing voters. They're losing voters who are then registering as Republican. Every voter that they lost went and registered as a Republican. And I thought that the Democratic Party was going to use this to be like, hey guys, how do we make ourselves better? Let's go back to the drawing board and figure out what we're doing wrong. No, they're doubling down. They're like, we're going to get more aggressive. We're going to, what they say, fight harder, which just means get louder, get more aggressive, protest more. I'm like, this does not work for you guys. You're not using your logic. Okay. So they just need to make sure they don't block me from coming out of the gym, because I have places to go. But I mean, come on. What exactly are you seeking to gain from this, instead of going back to the drawing board and figuring out how to enact some real change and maybe protest the party for their lack of leadership? But it's like this blind loyalty to the party, no matter what they do, I think is just insanity. And this beautiful Saturday, they are outside with rabbit costumes on, talking about a dictatorship. It's a lot.
I didn't go to No Kings, largely because I had other stuff going on, but also this is an anti-Trump protest that is backed by Hillary Clinton. And as a general rule, I'm not inclined to go to protests against forest fires that are organized by arsonists. Hillary Clinton and the establishment Democrats gave us Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton is probably the most explicit example, because she and her husband literally funded Trump's 2016 run because they thought he would be an easy opponent for her to beat. That did not work out well. But also, the ethos of why Democrats keep losing to Trump, why liberalism can never supersede fascism, is fully intertwined with every aspect of these parades. We keep breaking records for largest protests, and yet the situation in this country, the political repression, the wealth inequality, human rights violations, they're getting worse at an exponentially rising pace. It's because these things don't represent a real threat, and the reason for that is because they're solely oppositional and not actually for something. And when this stuff is organized by people like Hillary Clinton, when they are let into the tent, I have to assume that the thing that you're for is a return to status quo. But that represents you not understanding that the status quo is why we're here now. It's why so many of those parade signs said if Kamala had won, we would all be at brunch right now, not recognizing that that is the problem. The only thing of use I saw is that one of my mutuals went out and started handing out flyers for a more radical organization at these No Kings protests and found that people were hungry for that kind of radicalism. That is, I think, the most useful thing for leftists to do at a No Kings parade is show people that there are people who are fighting for things too.
For all the No Kings protesters, just remember that a king wouldn't allow you to protest. We're protesting someone who is trying to become a king, and we're saying that's not gonna happen. I just felt like I had to clarify, because your own president called y'all stupid, so I just felt like I should chime in to help you, because I think y'all thought you ate with that, but it's okay.
Donald Trump's weekend has been ruined as the No Kings protest is far bigger and far more massive than anybody expected. Millions of Americans took to the streets across the country in each state to show their love of country, to show their patriotism, and to stand up to Donald Trump's power grabs. Not just here in America, but we saw this around the globe. People came out to tell Donald Trump where he can shove it. And Donald Trump and Republicans, they wanted violence. They wanted chaos. They wanted anti-American sentiment. But instead, all they got were peaceful patriots that loved their country and wanted to exercise their First Amendment rights. But here's the best part. It doesn't end here. We'll do this again. You can count on that. But we're going to harness this energy. We're going to take what we felt here today and use it next November and take back the House and take back the Senate, because that's how we hold Donald Trump accountable. That's how we really show him there are no kings in America. There's rules you got to abide by, but you can know Donald Trump is seeing this and he's fuming.
That's why we're still here. Because white people are still refusing to get off their damn couch and do it. If you want to actually protest, if you want to be an actual ally and really fight fascism, do that shit every day. Every day should be a new No Kings Day. Not every 3 months, not every 4 months, not every fucking month. Every goddamn day. You stop working. You don't pay your taxes. You protest. And you shut this shit down. Now, when you're ready to do that, you let me know. But I'm sick and tired of people thinking that No Kings is going to change anything, because it ain't. It makes white people feel good like they did the bare fucking minimum. 2025strike.com. You want to do something? You go sign that damn petition. You reverse Citizens United, you give women their rights back, you raise minimum wage, you put in gun reform, and you put term limits on people in the Senate and the Supreme Court. If you're not going to do those basic things, it doesn't matter if a Democrat or Republican run this damn country, because none of it benefits us. I am sick and tired of kids getting shot in goddamn schools, but people on the right bitching about a drag queen reading at a fucking high school. I'm sick and tired of it. So you have a choice, people. You could be on the right side of history or the white side of history. But if all you're willing to do is the bare minimum, then you're staying on the white side of history because you're unwilling to be uncomfortable. The very definition of white privilege. What side are you going to be on?
Well, in case you are not aware, there is another No Kings protest across the country planned for this upcoming Saturday, October 18th. And if you plan to be in attendance, there are a couple things you should know. Number one, the Trump administration is circulating this idea that the No Kings protest is going to be a hotbed of Antifa activity. Antifa, if you don't know, stands for anti-fascist, and the Trump administration has designated them a terrorist organization. There's only one problem with that, though. Antifa is not a group. It's not a club. It has no members or membership. It's an ideology. You know what is a group, though? The KKK, the Klan, the Proud Boys, Turning Point USA, the Groypers. They're a group. But anyway, I digress. The fact that the Trump administration is going out of their way to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization, despite not being an organization at all, should tell you that they're using it as an umbrella term to harass and detain anyone they don't agree with. And the fact that the administration, like I said before, is trying to circulate this idea that the protest is going to be a hotbed for Antifa activity should let you know exactly the kind of timing they on. So if you're going to attend, here's some things you should probably do. Number one, do not bring your phone or any electronic device that can be tracked. No iPhone, no Fitbit, no Samsung, no Android, no Pixel, no Apple Watch, nothing. You're finna be out there like it's 1995. Don't bring nothing with you. If you absolutely must have it on your person, you are going to go on Amazon.com and buy what is known as a Faraday pouch. This is going to be a bag that you can carry with you, small bag, that will block any incoming and outgoing signals from any devices placed inside of it. Makes it that much harder to track. Second thing you're going to do, right? If you're going to be out there, do not be out there plain face. No, we all have disdain for these YNs, but they had the right idea with these shiesties. You're going to get a shiesty and mask the fuck up. You feel what I'm saying to you? The name of the game here, right, is to restrict all the different ways you can be tracked simply by being present. Because trust me when I say they will be tracking you. I also saw a video from Corn Pop about 2 hours ago talking about how they're going to be at this protest across the country doing retinal scans from afar. So go ahead, throw some glasses in there also. Again, the name of the game is to restrict all the different ways you can be identified from afar simply by being present at a protest you have every right to be at. Don't give these people any ammunition to hem you up. And last but not least, if you're going to go to this protest, keep your head on a fucking swivel, all right? There's going to be agitators. This ICE is going to be present. I guarantee it. Do not tangle with these folks. Dip out at the first sign of trouble. I'm trying to tell you, because they're trying to use any and every incident that might pop off at any one of these protests across the country as justification to unleash the hounds, all right? So don't give them any reasons. Don't bring your phone. If you have to, bring a Faraday pouch, mask up, put the glasses on, and be safe. All right, take care.
Frumpy is going to use the Insurrection Act on No King's Day. It's the perfect day to use the Insurrection Act to call for martial law. Everybody that's protesting this man and marching in those streets on October 18th will be seen as Antifa. I was thinking about that shit all yesterday, how close he is to getting the chance to enact the Insurrection Act. And No King's Day, which they're calling Non-American Day. People protesting against America. America's supposed to be free. We're not supposed to have kings. So it's kind of counterproductive. But they're going to use that day. He's going to use that day to try to invoke the Insurrection Act. I feel like he's going to put people in places inside of those crowds to start shit and to make it turn violent and reckless. I do not put it past this man to use the day that people are marching against fascism, against authoritarianism, against a fucked up administration that doesn't give a shit about its people, against an administration that is cutting healthcare, cutting education, cutting access to anything and everything to help the American people as a way to gain full control of the United States of America. I mean, he already has everything in place. He's put all his little minions in every place in the administration to control everyone. ICE is the largest department we have now, and they're all loyal to him for $1. I ask y'all to stay safe. And if you see somebody inciting that shit, shut them down. Don't let it get out of hand. Don't give this man nothing. He already knows he's not going to heaven. So why not set shit off before you leave?
I want to point out this shirt right here. It says, "No kings in America, no one else above the law." Well, if we had a king in America, we wouldn't be having this protest right now, because the king could shut this protest down. And if we had a king in America, we wouldn't have a government shutdown, because the king would just say, to hell with you guys, we're doing what we want to do. But we can't do that because we don't have a king in America. And the best one is, no one is above the law. But we allowed over 10 million illegal immigrants to break into our country. They all broke the law. So are they all of a sudden above the law? No, no one is above the law. They broke the law, so they need to be held accountable for their actions and go back to their country and try to do it the legal way to come into America legally. But instead, Trump is trying to, clean up our country, and he is being, Trump for prison. These are the shirts that are being advertised right here at the No Kings protest, and all of them totally go against what's going on in America. We don't have kings, and illegal immigrants broke the law, so they need to go back. Let me know your thoughts on this one.
It's the No Kings protest, so here's why we protest.
A few of the things that people who are going to be out there on the streets peacefully protesting are upset about, starting with the basics, signing an executive order to do away with birthright citizenship, which is literally in the Constitution, sending troops into blue cities.
Oh, you mean anchor
unilaterally implementing tariffs, which Congress gets to do. I already talked about the 170 Americans who've been locked up. Cracking down on the First Amendment, detaining students for op-eds you don't like, targeting law firms, universities, reallocating funds appropriated by Congress to fund your big ICE force, firing inspectors generals that are looking into your friends like Elon Musk, making billions off of crypto scams, and your kids are running all over the world making deals.
So on the day after it was announced nationwide that there is a huge possibility that there will be no food stamps and potentially no Medicaid for over 42 million citizens in the United States, despite them going to work, paying their taxes, doing what's supposed to be done, right? Being, upstanding citizens on King's Day, no King's Day, which was the protest that happened yesterday, and the exact same day that Donald Trump announced that America would be essentially going to war with Venezuela, he posted an AI video of himself driving or flying an aviator, a fighter jet that is named or titled King Trump on the side of it, right? Dumping millions of gallons of fecal matter shit on top of the No Kings protest going on in New York. And the background song, Highway to the Danger Zone, the same exact song and style video that Yemen did, that pretty much got the whole world to look at Yemen, and basically the whole world was on Yemen's side. Besides the obvious of buffoonery, and that man needs to be taken, his AI privileges needs to be taken away, because he has gone entirely too far, and he quite literally feels like trolling is the best response to the whole world banding together and saying that, yeah, he needs to go. Him and his obsession with trying to outdo the doers, i.e. Yemen, and the people is insane. And I feel like that speaks volumes to that man's mental state. And to MAGA, I have this to say. Is this your king? This is your king? This is your king? An AI video of you dumping shit, millions of gallons of shit, on AI generated protesters on No King's Day. During the No King's protests, the location being New York City, dumping gallons of fecal matter onto their head during the protests, to the song in the background, Highway to the Danger Zone, which, by the way, none of that shit even made sense, and it wasn't the gag you thought it was, and it definitely isn't going to get the attention that you wanted to get, because I feel like it's rage bait at its finest hour. It's weak. And it definitely was created by one of your Caucasian assistants. I can see that for certain. It was created by one of your Caucasian assistants, because it was like a weak ass wah 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 kind of gag. Like you had access to AI, and this what you came up with. That's what it was given. But just seeing him playing with AI in this way, while actively destroying the nation and taking that shit as a joke. I'm gonna say this: what happens to him in his presidency term is well deserved. And I want y'all to remember, because it will come back to bite him in the ass. And when it do, I don't want to hear no think pieces about how he's a human being. The same way y'all tried to play in our faces about Carly Kirk. I don't want to hear the think pieces. I don't give a shit. Honestly, he's showing you who he truly is. And he don't give a shit. So why should y'all give a shit? And why should y'all try to come and tell us? Because we don't give a shit. Huh? It's on X in case you want to see it. I didn't even download it because it wasn't worth the storage in my phone. Mind you, the majority of the red states are going to suffer the most. They're out here thinking that people of color and the Democrats are going to suffer. In case you haven't noticed, a lot of Democratic states prepared for this. They're prepared for this. Like Arizona, I believe, turned blue during the pandemic. And they have an extra fund or extra account where they are essentially blocking, doing the best they can to block, they're not being food stamps and Medicaid and WIC and all those services. They're finding ways that they can try to ensure that everybody gets what they need. I'm not saying that they're going to succeed, but they are prepared for this. They have an entire plan that the ball has been in motion for quite some time. But the worst part about it is while MAGA and the red states are laughing and kick-cat-kalacking, those states are going to suffer the worst. And in fact, they've been suffering. Arkansas, Nebraska, Idaho, Iowa. They've been suffering, starting from the bottom all the way to the biggest ones. They're going to suffer the most. And while that man is playing in your face, he is transferring your money and your funds over to Argentina and to Israel. Believe me when I tell you, he's getting the last laugh against y'all, playing right in your face.
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from. Now, the US is experiencing something that they haven't seen for a very long time. And this is 18th, whatever has been happening for a while. People have been calling out the government and the president that America has no king, America has democracy, and America don't need autocracy. Now, this is one of the things that the black community has been advocating for a very long time. Let it be remembered that they've been advocating for good leadership, they've been advocating for equality, and for zero oppression in the US. While they were doing this, every other person turned against them. Every other person saw them as an enemy, and no one really wanted to interact or do whatever they were doing at the moment. Time is really catching up with the rest of the American population. They are now coming to realize that oppression exists, and all these things that they have been advocating for, good governance, an economy which cares about the people, not the politicians and the oligarchs of the country. Now, these are some of the things the leaders in the black community has been advocating for. These are some of the things most of the people who has been advocating or who have been advocating for good leadership have been saying that time to time, we don't need a president who will come here and think he's a king. We need a president who will listen to the people, not a president who will do things the way he likes or the people in the inner circle likes it, but a president who will come and pay attention to whatever the people are saying, and the people's problems becomes his problems. Now, we are seeing most of the white Americans now coming out to call out the black community to come and help them say no to no kings in the US. But we are seeing a lot of the black community becoming so reluctant with the fact that they need to come out and help them talk. Now, the message and framing didn't land the same. Some of the people feel like the black community should do it, and they are obligated to do it because they are citizens of this country, and they must do it because everyone else wants to do it. Let's not forget that the black community has also been having their own problems. But in the context of all this, no one came out to help them talk about the oppression, the police brutality, racism, and so many other things that they have been facing in the US and across Europe. Now, while talking or while addressing the black community, someone needs to be very sensitive and should be cautious with the words they're using, because you are talking to some people who have been having the same problems, but you never came out to help them talk about them. You are talking to a person who has gone through a lot of problems in the same country without any single help. You're talking to a person who worked the whole of their lives, their brothers, their sisters, their mothers, their ancestors, their grandfathers worked in this country not to be rich, but because of slavery. They worked their years out. They worked for centuries without a single penny in their pockets. Now, you are talking to people who have been traumatized by the environment they have been living in. You are talking to a person, or you are talking to a group of people who have had no help, not from the government, not from other people close to them. When they have had their wars, everyone else went quiet. They were left to fight alone. How do you expect such a person to do it? How do you expect such a person to come and help you if you do not use the right tone? We are not here to divide people. I've actually been saying that the purpose of this channel is to unite people, the black and brown, the blacks in the diaspora, and the blacks in Africa, across the world. We are to unite humanity, not to divide humanity. And the unity will only come if we all act with goodwill. If we all will not just act because of our self-interests, or because we need these things, or because of the self-gains that we want to make, but we are going to unite for a better future, for a better generation that is going to come years after we are out of this world. But we can only achieve that if we are very keen with whatever we say, when we are very strategized, and when we put emotions aside and start working as the people together. Not just because you need me today, not because I need you today, but because I need you today, tomorrow, and the day after. We need humanity to come together. We don't want to see a divided globe. We do not want to see a divided America, or a divided England, or a divided Canada, or a divided Europe or Africa. We want to see a nation, or the global, the whole globe coming together to talk as one. We are having a lot of problems in the world to fix, those that don't require us to start fighting ourselves now. We are having global warming to solve. We are having so many other issues. Can you see the world is falling apart? We don't have peace in most of the places in the world. Can we still fix that before starting all these things that we are doing right now? We are focusing with the less important things, and that has been the nature of humanity, that you only focus with the things that do not make sense. But those that are very important, we tend to ignore. Why should we ignore our unity? And why shouldn't we work together? I understand the fact that the black community is not willing to work with most of the rest of these other groups because they have sidelined them for a very long time. They have been oppressed, and no one has been there to help them talk. Great leaders from the black movement were taken down, and all that they got were mockeries. Actually, I really saw a video back then when Martin Luther King Dr. was taken down, and I saw a video of a child coming out to say that, oh, they have taken their king down, so they thought they had a king who could not be unalived, or they had a king who was everything to them. Let's see how they're gonna do it. And such like sentiments are very sensitive to such occasions. We don't really, not just such occasions, but they're always sensitive. Even if you say the same thing today and it happened 40 years back or 50 years back, it still pains me. I still feel like we needed to do better, and we still need to do better as humanity. We don't need to live like animals. It's only animals that don't feel pain for their counterparts, but we are human beings. We use brain. We have senses. We must see. We must think. We must talk. We must feel it. We must not just sit here and continue spreading the gospel of division amongst ourselves. That's not the intention. The intention is to see a united world. A world where we will not talk as white people. We will not talk as black people. We will not talk as Arabs. We will not talk as Indians. But we are going to, or we won't talk as Mandarins. We are going to sit down and talk as people of humanity. We are going to talk as one. We are not going to divide ourselves and think the world is going to change. The world is not going to change if we continue the division. And you can't just come with your rafton and call out the black community to come and help you. Okay, I get it. The black community should come and maybe help you do this or do that. But how do you say it? Do you first apologize for everything that you've done? I know the black community are now holding different priorities and perceptions about the No King's Day. Yes, they have all the rights, either to support or not support, or to remain silent, because they want a year back that a disaster was going to befall the United States if you didn't take a precaution on how you're going to vote. People assumed. And the fact that they are suffering for their own assumptions, the fact they are suffering from their own decisions is none of the business to the black community. But the black community can help. And that's if all the parties are willing to unite and act accordingly, not just because you need them at the moment, but because you still are going to need them tomorrow and the day after. And the black community is also going to need you tomorrow, today, and the day after. So you are working on the best of the interest of the country and the world, not because you want to fight a king somewhere, or you want to fight someone who you don't believe in the ideologies or how they are working. Same people you voted for, same people you campaigned for, same people you did abuse others because they were talking not in the praise and worship team, but they were talking to open up your eyes and see the future. Thank you so much for having taken the time to watch this video. I really appreciate the fact that you've watched this video, and this should be a wake-up call to anyone watching this, that we don't need a divided country. We do not need a divided world. We need a one united world where everyone thinks and appreciates ideologies from another person, and where everyone comes together as brothers and sisters, not because of the interest they have, but the interest of the country and that of the world. We can only make our world better if we unite. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.